G'day there folks, I'm Beanie and I'm bringing you your regular dose of Tutorial Tuesday. Yes, the Tutorial Tuesday is something that I invented where, well, I don't know if I invented it, but I bring you a tutorial every Tuesday. Hopefully. So anyway, what we're going to do is I figured that I'll bring you a drawing of Blue the Velociraptor running. Just to make it a little bit more interesting than just Blue standing still, make it a bit more dynamic. So what we'll do is we will put in what I like to do is my lines, one line there, one line there. What these lines do is they give me an idea of the proportions of how much I can fit into the page. So for this one, we are going to try, let's roughly draw in the shape of the tail and the body and the neck to the head. I think the head probably, okay. Body starts there, probably goes to about there. Draw a very rough shape. So, right, there we go. Now we can kind of get an idea of where things are going to flow in here. So what we'll do is we'll draw Blue's tail very roughly. But I'll put the pencil up this way. So we'll draw in the line for her tail. Because she's running, her tail is raised up in the air. Right. And that flows through her body, through her torso. This will be her spine. Then up to her head and neck. And we'll have it go to about there. That looks about right. This area here, we'll draw a little line kind of here. That gives us an idea of where her shoulder will lie. Her arm is kind of, her arms are kind of out a little bit. So her forearms, normally her arms would be like out to like there to there, like right out, but she's actually going for a run. So her arms kind of are foreshortened. So we'll put the upper arm like so. We won't worry too much about, forgive that. We won't worry too much about that line. It's just basically a proportion indication, I like to call it. So what we'll do is we'll draw in the neck, like so. And that will then go into her head. Draw a quick shape here. Bit of a triangular rectangle, I guess you'd call it, for the shape of her head. Actually, yeah, triangular rectangle, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it sort of does via watching me drawing this. So, there you go. We'll draw in the line for her jaw. So we'll give a little bit of a curve up here for where the back of her jaw goes. Then down. And there, I'm just referring to my root source image. I think it's more like this. So it's down. Let's just quickly erase that line. Right. So what we'll do is we'll do the line going down and then out. for the top part of her snout. And then we'll do another line for her jaw. So put that there. Her mouth is only slightly open, not too open. She's kind of running, so she's kind of breathing, I guess. I'm guessing dinosaurs can breathe through their mouths and their nose. We'll do the source image I'm using for this particular image is her running, so it's slightly blurred. So I'm kind of having to guess a little bit of it. I'll probably use some other source photos of her standing still once I'm done, but I just wanted to get the dynamic nature of her running. So there's the eye and her snout. Actually, her eye probably goes back a little bit to that, about there. So kind of around that area. We'll refine that a bit later. Then her eyebrow ridge is kind of like that. And her snout ridge, which is not very prominent at all, goes like that. And then give her a nostril. And that's very, very rough and loose, but that gives you the idea of where her head is positioned. And look at that, we've actually drawn the head before everything else for the first time in a while. So now what we're going to do is, this will be her chest. So we'll draw a curved line for her chest. We'll attach the neck to the chest. And then what we'll do is we'll draw the torso shape. Her leg is going to be covering most of her torso and ribs, so we won't be seeing much of that. Right. Maybe what we can do is actually put in those legs. So what we'll do, that's the very far back of her leg. This would probably be her hip pelvis area. Then we will do a line for the top of her thigh as she runs. Her knee will probably be about there. Do a bit of a skeletal line. For this particular, sometimes I'd find skeletal lines hinder my drawing technique, but for this one, they actually come quite in handy. So we'll draw, that's her ankle, and then this will be her foot. I'm just going to rough it in, very, very rough and loose. We'll worry about drawing that properly later. This is her elbow, so the arm, then a bit of a skeletal arm, stick figuring it. This will be a hand, so the hand kind of goes in this kind of shape, so that would be that area. So all of that is that area, and then those are her fingers. Hopefully that makes sense in terms of creating shapes for hands to start off with. So what I usually do when I'm laying out something is I have like a bit of a triangular square, which indicates the fisty area, I guess you call it, and then the rest of it will be the fingers, and of course the claws. Right, this would be where her probably her hip joint is, so we'll have the other leg coming down to about there, and her knee is about there. And then what we'll do is we'll have the line coming to about there, and that's her ankle. Also, in the source image, this is entirely blurred, so I'm really using a lot of imagination here to try and make sure it kind of looks how I think it should look, because she's going at a burst of speed. then that will probably be her foot. Because, like I just said, I'm using a blurred source image, so I'm just going to try, and this will be the sickle toe. Probably like that. We'll refine that much better later, but for now, I'm just putting in the skeletal structure. And to be honest, I have actually made this a little too big, I think. So, sorry about all that. Maybe I should cut the video at this point and edit it out. We will see how we go. Let's try that again. Hey, that's the nature of drawing with pencils. You don't always get it right the first time round. So let's try that again, shall we? Knee probably goes more around there. Because I'm trying to make sure that it doesn't get too much higher than that area. So maybe we'll do a little line here for where proportion-wise her foot should be. I did draw it down there. Should be more up around here. So what we'll do is that's kind of the foot. That will go down to the ankle. So draw the ankle there, and then the calf. I think that probably works a little better. A little bit tricky sometimes, especially when it's a very blurred image. That will probably do. Okay, most of that's going to be hidden by her body anyway. So it looks like they've actually changed the design of the Velociraptor's torso a little bit, because this is where the back of her hip bone is. The hips in the Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3 Velociraptors were very pronounced, and when you drew them, sometimes they had a tendency to look a bit phallic. So I think they probably changed it for that reason. Now what we'll do is we'll have the tail. She's got quite a thick, strong tail. So we'll do the tail going out to about there. I don't think we're actually going to... let's narrow it down a bit. Again, you're not going to make your lines perfect every time. Sometimes you're going to have to erase them and try them again. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Because we want to taper it out to be around here. Because we want it to be in proportion with the head. So we'll draw... Sorry, there we go. We'll draw the tip of the tail around there. Trying to taper it so it gets thicker and wider by the base, and we get to about there, more or less. We'll refine that later. Right, so we've got the body, we've got the tail, we've got the neck and the head. We're getting some progress here. Hopefully you guys have been able to follow along to some degree. So next we will refine the legs. I've never really drawn her legs or any Velociraptor's legs in the outstretched motion, so this will be interesting. So what we'll do is we'll refine that line again, take it to the knee. Seems to be a bit of a muscle shape there. That little corner is going to be where her thigh goes into her calf. Her calf. So let's draw the calf in. Calf. Lame joke there. Draw the calf muscle to the tip of her ankle. We'll also draw the other side, keeping around with the bone. The reason why I've drawn the line out there compared to the bone is I have explained this in the past, but give your leg a bit of a touch for the moment. Let's get in touch with ourselves. Feel the lower part of your leg right at the front. Feel that hard ridge. That is your bone. I don't know the technical term for the bone, but that is your bone. And behind that should be muscle. Might be squishy muscle, but it should be muscle. So that is your calf. The front area is the bone, and all the calf muscle is kind of in around. So like that would be the calf muscle, and that would be the bone. See, there we go. The bone, the calf, if that makes sense. And then the bone would go to about there. Actually, let's do a quick little bit of muscle structure. So it would seem that she's got a muscle there, which connects the hip bone to the knee bone. So tempted to do the song, but I won't. And around there, so that would be the muscle that goes to around there. It contracts, and then you got like another muscle sort of around there. Oh, that would be the skin, because the muscle would be kind of, there's like a whole bunch of muscles up around here that then connect to the knee, but we won't draw it all the way. But hey, there you go. That was easier than I thought. That is basically how you draw the muscle part, and then you just draw a line there that represents the bottom of the thigh. And what we'll actually do is we'll erase this part of the line because her leg is stretched, and that area is all skin. I'm now going to erase that bone example because we don't need it for this particular drawing. I just used it as a bit of an example. So what we'll do is we'll refine this part of her leg, and then we will, I'll finish this leg. So we'll do the ankle running down to her foot. Her ankle, would you call that a shin? Maybe that's a shin. Oh, that's a shin. I don't know. Basically, we're drawing the shape of that thin boned section, which then around here is where the foot starts. So we'll draw in the toes. And Velociraptor has 2 toes and 1 large sickled claw. I think that's a sickle claw. Basically a large claw that she kills things with. So we'll put in a claw for her toe and another claw for the other toe. They seem to poke up rather than straight down, I think. This is an incredibly blurry photo, so I'm just using, again, basically just some imagination. Then we'll draw some padding under the toes, because like, with your hands, you got padding when you do that. You got your padding. Well, the bottom of your foot will have padding too, so that kind of gives you that idea. Just doing a bit of a line there. I'm going to erase some of these lines so we get rid of the skeletal structure, leaving it with just the leg, and we'll have her big claw toe. Guess it's really up to you how big you want to make the claw toe. I don't know what the scientific consistencies of their claw toe. There you go. So basically like that. Now we will do the same with her back leg. So getting the light better so we can actually see. We will now put in her back leg, which goes to her calf, which then goes to her leg, which then is hidden by the other side of her body. Put in the knee. The knee would. We did draw the knee around there, but really the knee looks more like it's down here. Then it goes up to about there. Give her a bit of a line for her calf muscle. And then we are now tackling the tricky part. I am going to draw it and then I will try to explain it, because it's very hard to. This is incredibly hard for me to visually describe, so I'm just going to draw it and hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. Maybe I should bring the camera down a little bit. Let's try that. There we go. Come on. Alright. This is a bad angle. Sorry, you're getting your perspective a bit squiffed there, because it's kind of at an angle. Like right now my pen is completely flat, but as you can tell, it's looking a little bit perspective off. So I apologize about that, but I'm just going to quickly draw in the claw, and then I'll take you back to how we were. So I think the claw kind of looks like that. Because she's running, the claw is kind of flowing and around with the movement of her foot. Her leg is lifting up off the ground. And then draw the toe and the other toe. Because I've noticed from watching them run, their claws do some tricky things that are hard to explain, but basically that claw is a third toe. As you can see from, like, that's a third toe, but when it's standing up, the toe is standing up, but when it's running back, the toe kind of flings back with the rest of the toes. If that makes any sense at all. It might not. If it doesn't make any sense, I do apologize. But that's the best way I could think about explaining it, because the actual image itself is all blurred. Maybe I will do that blurred. Maybe do a little tricky thing. So that. Where are we? Come on. Come on, camera. Back we go. Hang on. I'll have to edit this part out, I'm sure. Okay. Looks like we're getting somewhere now. What we'll do is we'll refine the chest and stomach. Refine the top of her hip. Refine the body a bit. Looks like she's got a bit of a shoulder bone and muscle there. Gonna refine the tail. And refine the tail up around here. And then the next video, I suppose I should actually make this video a little bit longer as well, to tackle the paint job, would you call it? Her patterns of skin. But yes, basically, there we go. That's her legs covered. Hopefully that looks okay. If you don't like how I drew her legs, you can give this video a thumbs down if you so wish, but, you know, I'm trying my best here. bit of a messy job with a tail, but hey, you refine it afterwards with pen and inks and all that, or just, you know, erase it lightly and then draw over it. More refined. Anyway, now gonna draw in her arms and then shoulder. So kind of like that. Draw in her outer forearms. I gotta learn my anatomy better. Okay, I'm making these lines quite thick and messy. There we go, that's a little bit better. At least her hands are not as blurry in this photo, so I can at least work with those a bit. So we'll refine the shape of her hands. And we will put in the fingers. Do some more fingers and claws. And another finger. These curves that I'm doing, they're the knuckles. Hopefully I haven't lost you on the process of doing that. I'm gonna do a brief bit of another arm under there. So just duplicate that line a little bit. And I might just, because she's kind of running with both hands, like kind of like that. So just kind of, I might just draw one extra little finger claw here, but it's basically just going to be hidden by this hand. So don't worry too much about that. And then what we're going to do is put in some neck lines to indicate where her neck would be, you know, moving and all that. So she's got a twisty, flexible neck. So she'd have wrinkles and lines for where her neck moves. And then we'll just refine the jaw. And then refine the jaw. I just said that. Fix the jaw up a little bit. And draw that part of the mouth, the snout. A lot of it's going to be hidden in shadow, so I'm just going to draw some of the teeth. Now let's try and make her face look a little less derpy. For this, I'm going to have to get my next source image, I think, because this photo is too blurry to work with. Let's see. I think that this other photo works better. Okay. So what we'll do is we will do, her eyes are kind of at the back of her eye. She's got a bit of an eyebrow ridge that forms into a little bit of a snout ridge, and then goes down. Like this part, in Jurassic Park 3, this part of the snout was very pronounced. For Jurassic World, they've gone back to the original Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park The Lost World snout kind of shape. I think Delta or Echo or one of the other Raptors, they have a slightly more pronounced ridge in the nose. I'm not completely sure, but one of the videos looked that way a bit. So I'm just going to draw a little bit of a line there, which would be where her ear hole would be, but that's also formed into the neck. I'm just going to draw some wrinkles there. Going to draw her eye. I wasn't an overly huge fan of their eyes. I wasn't a huge fan of the Raptor eyes in Jurassic World because they looked very heavily CGI'd. Far more CGI'd than they should have. They looked quite... They tried to make them look too real to the point where the amount of detail that they put in made it look fake. So we'll just put in the eyelid from around there. And a little bit of an eye shape there. That kind of works. Now I'm just going to do some little details and wrinkles just to kind of give it a little bit more extra depth, make it look a little bit more realistic. Not going to go too over the top, just to add a few lines here and there to make it look a little bit more organic. And then we'll add in some of the patterns. So I'm just going to do some quick lines. Maybe do a tail line here. Put some lines just randomly somewhere around there just to make it look like muscles. Gonna put a line there for her rib cage and thigh. Gonna make it darker here, darker here. Some of these lines are quite messy, I apologize, but this is what roughing it down, and then you just, refine your lines and make them look cleaner. Should really erase the lines to make them look cleaner, but I'm not going to do that right now. And then, really, because we are drawing blue, we should get to and do some of the patterns. To do the last little bit, I just figured because she's blue, well, that's her name, that I'm going to try and just put in a little bit of her blue. I'm not going to color it in, not right now anyway, but just kind of giving an idea of like the shape of her stripy patch that makes her distinctively blue. So it's not going to be exactly perfect, but it will be close enough. So I'm going to do some little random lines. Now these black lines would actually be white and the inside would be blue, but I guess you can just kind of do them random. That's kind of the nature of her pattern, is kind of random. So just do it like so. She's got some little dots and shapes that come out of her, and some of her shapes are a bit zigzaggy as well. So remembering she's an organic, despite the fact she's CGI, she's an organic creature that has a organic pattern, much like all reptiles and all different kinds of creatures, like zebras and tigers and such. So we're just going to do those shapes for her stripe. So just drawing it like so. Now around here, her stripe goes like so. Actually, what I'm noticing is I've drawn her eye large. It seems the Velociraptors in Jurassic Park 2, or Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 2 had smaller eyes, I think. Possibly. So I'm just gonna do in the shape of that line down to there. The shape of the line there, just kind of loose and generic, doesn't have to be too perfect. I'm going to draw in an extra bit of line for what would be the white section of her stripe. and then the inside will be blue, and the outside will be grey. Well, greyish green. Oh, I pressed too hard on my lead and it snapped. I was not expecting that. Right, so just going to put in a fine line around her pattern, her stripe. Yep, that looks alright. I'll do the same for her body. So like this. And then have that pattern going down her tail as well. Again, it's kind of zigzaggy, patterny. It's not exact. It's just organic and loose. It's meant to look like nature, not like it's designed. Even though a whole bunch of my hand's covering all that. Even though a whole bunch of digital artists were actually behind all of her look. I mean, they could have really used some practical effects if they really wanted to, but I'm guessing they didn't have the time. They did apparently make animatronics for the Jurassic World, but I couldn't tell. It all looked CGI to me, other than the Dinopatosaurus. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie already, but I'm sure it had it in the trailer, so you'd know it by now. So I'm just going to do those lines. A line down there. Actually, I think I'm going to make another video. Probably will edit it into this video of the blue and all the color, but I would think I want to refine it with pen. So what I'll do is I will color it all in pen, doing how I usually do my line work, and then might do it in color, see if I've got time, because that will make this video go quite long, and we're already at 40 minutes. So I'm just going to do some loose little texture lines just to get it going a bit. Some extra little dots here and there to make it look a little bit more organic. Some shapes for her lines on her leg. Do the same for her around her shoulders. And some neck wrinkles. Let's do some neck wrinkles. And I am going to do a loose bit of shading just to add a little bit of extra depth. So I'll just quickly shading down there, shading here, shading there, bit of shading under a leg to make it look three-dimensional. Quite a bit of shading under her stomach and torso. Bit of shading there. Shading here. Bit of shading there. And a bit of shading around here, just very loosely. So again, I'll probably refine this with or will I? Maybe I'll just, because I've already put a little bit of extra detail than what I usually would in a tutorial drawing. I'm just going to refine the last little bit and then probably do the coloring time-lapsed as well. We'll see how it goes. I might not even put any of that in the video. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, as I finish my last bits of rendering, just want to say thank you for watching if you've made it this far into the video. Hopefully those who wanted to see Blue the Velociraptor as a tutorial, hopefully this has satisfied your desires. If it has, please give it a thumbs up, give it a like, share it around. I've noticed that people are sharing my videos. I really appreciate that. It's awesome. Give me some more suggestions. Keep in mind, it'll take me a while to get to some of them. But yeah. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you don't dislike this video. And I will see you in another video. I'll see you for another tutorial Tuesday, but I might probably also do just generic dinosaur drawings just for the sake of it, which in my old style of a 5-minute time-lapsed drawing, which would be condensed and then narrated like I do sometimes. So yeah, there you go. Before I go into too much detail, I could, refine and refine and refine away, which is generally what's the next stage of drawing in a tutorial format, but for now, that's probably it. So, thank you for watching. Hopefully you liked this video. I really hope you learned something. Stay tuned for whatever's to come. Subscribe, and I will have even more for you in the future. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio.